Welcome, guys, to our international podcast, Below the Belt. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear out there. Sheila Boy Child. Let us know, Janice Booker, Jacqueline Clark. Let me go, Sheila Boy Child, Vibrant White, Isis Mingo Burn. How you folks doing out there? Pace and power. Good to have you folks. What's for lunch? How's the weather? No time to lose today. Quite a bit to get through. Let's not forget Jagabats and Trench Crappers. Let's not forget them boys. Good to have you here. Sheila Boy Child says loud and clear. Be happy about that. Be happy about that. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Good to have you folks. Share the live, smash that emoji, but I will continue with the shares. I will continue with the emojis, folks. With the likes, the loves. I will continue. Quite a few things to share with you folks. And we want to take you straight away into a part of what we showed you yesterday. Not the full segment, it's part of what we showed you yesterday. For the fight for the ample use. Them boys say sacramental marijuana ganja use. For those of you who might miss yesterday, we just showing you a short portion of it. If you want to watch the full thing, you got to go back to yesterday. We can just show you a short portion of it. You know, Rastafarian brothers and sisters are requesting that we level up legal marijuana from 15 grams to 30 grams. The administration want to go to 30. The Rastafarian brothers and sisters saying at least 56 grams. At least 56 grams. At least 56 grams. Well, we showed you them, the Rastafarian, or rather I should say, an ensemble of the Rastafarian community outside of the Arthur Chuck Conference Center yesterday, making their voices heard. Linda Thomas. Again, we're going to show you a short portion of that. And then we can circle back to the PPP and disinformation. You all know how the wicked stink and dirty. Wicked stink and dirty is their voice. Share the live, smash that emoji button. Folks, remember, we can't do this without you. You got to partner with us so that we can continue to bring you valid and credible information. You got to partner with us so that we can continue to bring you valid, credible information. Please and thank you. Right? You all know it's anniversary. You all know we out here. You all know it's anniversary, guys. And so we encourage you to. We want to be out here another year. At least minimum another year. You folks can help us to do so. Share the live, smash that emoji button. Partner with me, folks. You all know we're available by Cash App and PayPal and Zelle, MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union. I don't want to say it's in a black and ocean way, but we just put all of these platforms so that you guys can have the convenience. Whatever it's your choice. Just be convenient. That's all. Yeah, 627-6963 is the number you want to call if you have any queries. 627-6963. Each donation we say, folks, go towards making these programs bigger and better. Thanks for your generosity, folks, and thanks for your support. Here's what's transpired just yesterday outside of the Artichung Conference Center there at Liliendal. Liliendal, good folks. What transpired just yesterday. Right? Take a look, folks. And take a listen as well. And then we come back on the other end and meet you guys again. Take a look, take a listen. Morning, guys. You're out here raising your voices. I think basically you're saying free up the weed. That's been the one thing. Yes. Talk to us about that.
Well, um, as the world knows, cannabis is Rastafari's sacrament, right? And as a sacrament, according to the Constitution, every religious group is supposed to be allowed freedom of conscience and freedom of expression, right? Cannabis is an essential part of Rastafari religious practice. And we've made that known to this government. CARICOM has said that, but they insist on not doing anything about it. So we're here standing up and defending our rights, and we want to send a message to this government that we will not come off this battlefield until our rights are recognized in the constitution, right? So essentially, that is our position.
You talk about cannabis being a sacrament. I want you to talk to the people of this country what that means in your community.
Right. Well, according to the scripture that we use, when you're doing prayers and these things, it has to go up with the smoke of the incense. And cannabis is that incense that Rasta use to send up I prayers and I worship.
Good, good. So, guys, we want to make sure that you have the right one. Apologies there. Apologies there. We're coming back to the one that we want to show to you. We're going to offer you a shortened version and not the longer one. And here is the one that we really want to show you. Again, the Rastafarian community wants to lift the limit of acceptable uh, cannabis marijuana use from 15. The administration wants to take it to 30 grams, but they were asking for 56 grams. And these were some of the concerns expressed outside yesterday, outside of the Chung Convention Center, where the National Assembly was meeting at the time. Here are their thoughts.
Whoever is the government, they're evil. And the FPNU, all of them is the government, all of them is the government. They're bringing this to on your life.
Morning, guys. You're out here raising voices. I think basically you're saying free up the weed. That's been the one thing. Yes. Talk to us about that.
Well, um, as the world knows, cannabis is Rastafari's sacrament, right? And as a sacrament, according to the constitution, every religious group is supposed to be allowed freedom of conscience and freedom of expression, right? Cannabis is an essential part of Rastafari religious practice. And we've made that known to this government. CARICOM has said that, but they insist on not doing anything about it. So we're here standing up and defending our rights. And we want to send a message to this government that we will not come off this battlefield until our rights are recognized in the constitution, right? So essentially, that is our position.
You talk about cannabis being a sacrament. I want you to talk to the people of this country what that means in your community.
Right. Well, according to the scripture that we use, when you're doing prayers and these things, it has to go up with the smoke of the incense. And cannabis is that incense that Rasta use to send up I prayers and I worship to I Father. That is what it means. Right? It is there in Revelation where it says that the angel, right, sent up the prayers of the saints with the smoke of the incense, right? So that is essentially how I use it to give prayers and praise and thanks unto I Father.
Uh, Talking about that, you mentioned CARICOM. CARICOM has done an extensive study on this matter,
Yes.
and they've had lots of recommendation, which talks about, as you guys are saying, you lifting this ban because the science has now overtaken the law on this issue. Talk to us about some of the perhaps medicinal benefits. You talk about the spiritual benefits, perhaps some of the medicinal benefits of using cannabis and ganja as we know it.
Yes, well, we had like Sanjay Gupta, the doctor on CNN, who did an extensive documentary on all of the different medical benefits that are derived from cannabis. I think they even followed the story of a young lady who suffered severely from seizures and these things. And just about 2 drops of the cannabis in our mouth, and the seizures stop, right? So those are just a few of some of the uses. But cannabis can also be used in different forms of pains and all these different things, right? A lot of the ailments that old people suffer with, joint pains and all these things, cannabis has shown through experiment to relieve these symptoms tremendously, right? So it is, and that is one of the things that research has shown, because people said that they're afraid that if you free up this thing, that young people can start abusing it and all these different things. Jamaica has done it since 2015, and the statistics show that there's been no increase in usage among young people. Where the increase comes internationally in countries that have liberalized it is among the elderly population, who are now flocking to it and utilizing it to alleviate their illnesses, old age illnesses, and so on.
I'm not certain whether you guys may be in agreement with me in terms of the history of its usage in the region, but I think according to that CARICOM study, lots of East Indians brought cannabis from India. It was heavily used among the East Indians.
There's a sacrament in Hinduism.
And then when you had the advent of alcohol in the Caribbean and the big companies producing alcohol, you had this kind of ban on cannabis to allow the consumption of more alcohol. And we know locally too, a lot of folks use cannabis, your community being, and also you have lots of high officials. Why do you think, the point I want to make, why do you think there's this kind of hypocrisy with the use of cannabis? You don't want to lift the legislation, but yet it is used in secret.
The use, I think, is compounded by not only racism. Racism is one aspect, but you have classism as well, right? Because if you have the upper class using it and the lower class using it, but the laws only apply to the people downstairs, the lower class, then it shows that there's a certain contempt for the people, the lower class. It's not a contempt for the use of cannabis because they use it. It's a contempt for the people downstairs who are using it, right? So there's that class and racial dynamic, because you might go to other countries in the Caribbean where you don't have the race dynamic, like for example Jamaica and so on, but the laws were there to doing the same thing, right? Being draconian and sending poor people and low class, working class people to prison for just a spliff and all these things, right? So the class aspect of it, again, stressing the point that is not just this government, but we had the previous government as well who hesitated in doing something because the opportunity was before them as well, right? Again, that definitely shows classicity, because the law affected tremendously and disproportionately members of their constituency, and they did nothing about it. I know the AFC attempted, to bring some amount of ease to it, but there was a conflict within the coalition concerning it, and we are left out here, to confront this new government, to recognize our rights.
The AG would have mentioned that there's a certain percentage that will be allowed from this bill here, and a certain percentage will not be allowed. What really is the contention? Are you seeking for more than what he's asking for?
No. We are asking for the recognition of the rights of the Rastafari community to utilize cannabis as a sacrament. That means that we're supposed to be exempt from any form of prosecution under this act, right? But Rastafari is not mentioned in the bill, so that's the main contention. Also, they've moved the threshold for trafficking from 15 to 30, right? And they said from 1 to 15 is counseling, and from like 16 to 30 you have community service. Now, if you hold a Rasta man with the sacrament and send it to the magistrate send it to counseling, what is the counselor going to tell the Rasta man? That he shouldn't smoke marijuana. There's a part of our religious belief and practice, and it would go against the professional ethics of any counselor to try and counsel someone away from the religious belief, right? So you putting the counselors now in an ethical dilemma when they have to be faced with such a situation, right? But again, we told the committee that, and they did not take it into consideration. Also, we know that the law usually targets the poor and the working class people, right? Now, if it is that a person is sent to counseling or to community service and they miss a day, then they're liable to a fine of 250,000 Ghana dollars, right? And also prison time, right? So that's what we're talking about, right?
If it seems as though this bill will pass,
Mhm.
what's the next move? I mean,
Well, I
what's
think the obvious move would be maybe to take it to court, you know, but we'd have to consider, you know, because resources are required to do that.
My brother, just to piggyback on my colleague's question, you talked about moving the allowance from 15 to 30 grams. What would, in your mind, based on your religious beliefs and all that, be a fair amount legally?
We had told the previous government, and I think we'd maintain the position that what had obtained in Jamaica would have been a good, an acceptable start for us, which is 56 grams, right? Which is 2 ounces, right? For personal use. And then you would have had a certain amount of plants that you could have planted in the yard and so on, right? So that would have been acceptable to us as a starting off, because ultimately we're saying that cannabis should be entirely removed from under the Narcotic Act, because the studies have shown that it has medicinal benefit and therefore it should not be classified as a dangerous drug, right? It should not be classified as a dangerous drug. Therefore, it should be completely removed from the Dangerous Drug Act, right? It has no place there. And that is what we're seeing happening in America and in Canada and all these different countries.
How you plan to address those who want to traffic this amount or more than that? How do you justify that?
Well, the ideal thing would be to remove it from the Narcotic Drug Act and create a new act that would regulate the industry of cannabis. So if we say, well, from 20 plants up, then you're gone into the business of cannabis and you should have the requisite license and permits and these things. If you don't have it, then you know you gotta pay whatever fine or whatever it is you have to do. But ideally, that's what we would like to see, right? That is removed from the Narcotic Drug Act, because it is not a dangerous drug. CARICOM has told them that. UN has told them that through rescheduling it and so on, right? And put it in an act by itself in order to regulate it.
What are your thoughts on the fact that this was on the, at least on the legislative agenda first, and then hemp seemed to come out of nowhere
Right.
and has already gotten approval. That market seems to be regulating now, and then we're still fighting this battle
Right.
on legalizing ganja use, at least for the Rastafarian community. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, you have some powerful business lobby pushing the hemp industry. So I think that is one of the consideration. And then you have what's happening too. You have politics behind it, where the rice industry is failing, and so I think the government is looking to replace the rice industry with the hemp industry to satisfy its constituent base. Right. I think that's one of the main consideration. But also their support base, like in Region 6 and so on, plant marijuana as well. Because we see every time they are, a field is bossing these things, predominantly over 90% is in Region 6, right? And that's their stronghold, right? So that is what we think in terms of the hemp. They're looking to replace the sugar industry with the hemp in order to satisfy their support base.
The Attorney General recently, I think, met with the community, and part of what he said was that a delicate balance needs to be met. How do you interpret that?
That's nonsense, and that's a blatant lie too. Because what he's saying is that the country is divided down the middle on this issue. The Parliamentary Select Committee opened up for submissions, and 100% of the submissions that they got, and I heard it from his own mouth, right, called for decriminalization, which is not what this bill is addressing, right? 100% of the submissions said to the government, the Attorney General, that what they're putting forward is unacceptable. right? But they insist on pushing it for the reasons that we mentioned earlier, right? So if you're going to hide behind, yes, if you're going to hide behind this notion of the country being split, where are the people, the other half of the population that is opposed to this thing? Even the IRO sent out a letter to the media saying that they support Rastafari call for the recognition of our religious rights, right? But the government, on the other hand, is saying that the religious community is opposed to this. But where are they? Where are the religious leaders? Go and let them come forward and say that, well, they're against this thing. You know?
Um,
No. You see what happened? What happened is that it's just over the weekend that we heard that the bill was coming on Monday. So I basically, called a few ones, and this was the response. So we had no time to prepare and anything.
Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie to the nation of Guyana. Now, at this time here, the bill that the Attorney General and the government is trying to pass is a railroad bill. But we had confrontation and reasoning with the AG. It was a
all right, folks. That was the members of the Rastafarian community just yesterday outside of the Artichung Convention Center, where the National Assembly was meeting, expressing their concerns. And have you know, folks, that that bill was passed into law by the National Assembly, and now uh, this is the height of hypocrisy. It is the height of hypocrisy because uh, this we call it the ganja bill. That's what we call it. We call it the ganja bill. That's the short name for it. But let me give you the. Let me see if we get the legal name of the bill. This was the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Amendment Bill. Yeah, that's the legal name of it, and now this is the act. It's now become an act by virtue of being passed into law. I should say when it's assented to by Catfish. This is the Narcotic Drug and Psychotropic Substances Amendment Bill that was passed yesterday, and it purports that from 15 grams, it has now raised that threshold to 30 grams that persons can carry legally of marijuana. From 15 to 30 grams, persons can carry legally. But as you heard our brothers saying there, our brother say, you have to do community service. Now, if it is legal to carry 15 grams, why would you have to do community service and all the other attendant things? That's the question that's being asked. But I want to put you back to 2019 when the cabinet under His Excellency David Arthur Granger would have approved, and I'm watching the notation here that was published publicly. That was published. It says here, cabinet approves proposal to remove custodial sentences for 30 grams or less of marijuana. Right? So the PPP come now and they hijack our bill, which I had the privilege of presenting to the National Assembly, hijack the bill, and then they claim in victory. But as you heard, our brothers in the Rastafarian community said that they believe strongly, based on current trends in the Caribbean and elsewhere, that 56 grams, 2 ounces would have been a good starting place. Would have been a good starting place. And that's some of what we're still tracking. Again, I'm thinking they're thankful 30, 15 to 30, but all of the other things that come with it, they felt again that 56 grams, 2 ounces would have been a better starting place. And the science seemed to have overtaken lots of the conjecture, lots of the assumptions and the stereotypes concerning marijuana and ganja use. I haven't used it as yet, but I guess lots of the stereotypes are being now overcome by the science of the thing. Folks, I want to turn your attention to the fact that this seems like to be a crossing government. I want to turn your attention a little bit to that. Right? I want to turn your attention to that. It seems as though we got a crossing government, folks. It seems as though we got a crossing government because it seems we got a crossing government. A crossing government. It would appears, all intents and purposes, like we got a crossing government. And I will tell you why. I will tell you why. Just last weekend, we told you of an accident on the East Coast. On the East Coast, in which a pedestrian, a cyclist rather, was killed at Enmore, Anil Ramanand on the East Coast. A cyclist, as one Echil, and a convoy, they tell us, was coming down from, a ministerial convoy was coming down from Babis. And then somehow got, and then Ramanan somehow got involved there. He was using the roadways and was knocked down and killed. I haven't seen whether they have said whether Bishop One Eshel was in another vehicle or he was in that vehicle. They have been very sketchy about it. But the surveillance footage showed several black vehicles on that carriageway on the East Coast when Anil Ramanand was killed. So that's just over the weekend, I tell you, this crossing government. They're telling us that a presidential convoy just today, folks, a presidential convoy was coming down. A presidential convoy was coming down from Essequibo. This time a boat. And by some mishap, the boat capsized. And a journalist who was attached to I see them characterizing him as a radio worker, who was part of that convoy, radio worker out of Essequibo, who was part of that convoy, has drowned. A radio worker who was part of that convoy, they're telling us, drowned as part of that convoy. Folks, we talk every day about the carnage on our roads and the carnage on our waterways. And this is the news of the hour, that this boat ferrying persons who were part of that delegation there got involved in some mishap, quote unquote mishap, because some of it a little sketchy. And he is no more. And they're telling us that he was attached to a radio station in Essequibo. And we're trying to get more on this story. They're telling us the boat capsized near Charity, and the deceased radio worker is Trevor Patrick, 48 years old. This happened this morning. The boat was carrying him and media personnel when it capsized near Charity. I want to quote Starbuck News now, which is reporting that the boat was coming out at Charity when the engine, they say, became entangled in a piece of plastic and capsized. Who knew? The engine became entangled in a piece of plastic and capsized. It says here that Patrick was missing for about half of an hour, and after search, he was found and taken to the Oscar Joseph Hospital at Charity, where he was pronounced dead. The capsizing occurred around 9:30 hours. 9:30 hours. I saw another report that suggests he was not wearing a life jacket at the time. So, convoy carrying a convoy from the Ministry of Public Works. And a pedestrian meets his demise just last weekend. Just last weekend. Was it Saturday afternoon? Saturday last? It's Tuesday afternoon. And this convoy with the Fanali and Esikebo, and now a radio worker is dead. Trevor Patrick. I say it without any fear of successful contradiction. The cross is a crossing administration. The cross. If I tell you, them boys are crosses. 1 week. By road and by water. 1 week. Thoughts and prayers go to the family of the deceased, Trevor Patrick. Young man, just 48 years old. Young man, just 48 years old. 48 years old. They're telling us he was attached to Radio Esikebo. He was attached to Radio Esikebo. Yeah. That's what's going down on that end, folks. Other let you know that very early. And as we get more information on that, we're going to bring it to you. Dead at 48. Trevor Patrick. You don't know when you're going for cover here for new coming back. That's it. That's it. That's it. And we're picking up on the reports, I think. Let me confirm who it is. I think that indicated that he would not have been wearing a life jacket. Yep. Thoughts and prayers go out to Trevor Patrick's family. 48, gone too soon. Gone too soon. Much too soon. And that's what's happening currently, folks. And we try to make sense of it and get some more details for you and have a follow-up in our affiliate program. This evening, guys, we're going to have a follow-up on that. You know what we're following? What's happening in the U.S. in the midterms? A whole pack of jagabats for the PPP diaspora. Gone Republican. Well, probably I was Republican. No label, you know. They know the evil. When you see the kind of presidency Trump has had, who in the right mind going to sign up there? Who in the right mind going to sign up there? Them boys different. Them boys different. Look, some of them down there in New York, you know, running with some people they even know. And then these people here seeking to comment on Guyanese affairs. I never see some of them in my life. Some of them is the first day they seen them themselves on the spot. Showed you one this morning with a loud hailer. Before he actually go and do what he went to the States to do, he by Lefferts Boulevard with loud hailer. Y'all know y'all able. Y'all know y'all able. Look, some of them here now by Sybils. Some of them here by Sybils. Try with them. Try with them, folks. Some of them here out here by Sibils. Watch them, eh? Watch them. Some of them here by Sibyl, folks.
In this state, the New York Attorney General's office oversees a lot of different industries. But what I want to do is professionalize this office. This office is not responsive to the needs of the people of this state. It lacks a lot of coordination, and it needs to be professionalized and streamlined to where people aren't waiting a year and a half to get a license. People aren't waiting a year and a half to get a piece of paper stamp. So what we are going to do is remove the politics from the office, professionalize it, and make it responsive in an efficient manner and a timely manner to the needs of the people of this state.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for these four men, these four gentlemen that respond to this brother's question. Anyone here in this audience would like to ask a question? I must, on behalf of that individual, I'd like to apologize for that. Anyone, anything, you ask any question, no problem. We're not really offended, but you just think before you speak. I want to tell you guys one thing. With this election, normally as individual, when we want to get to a better path, sometimes we cross the bridge or we cross the road to a different way. This election, you feel free to cross over from Democrat to Republican. There's no fear about that. There's no changes. There's no fear. Have no fear. You feel free to make that change and cross over. So take the pleasure from a Democrat to a Republican, from top to bottom. When he said R, Republican, remember that. Folks, on behalf of my fellow Guyanese, please give your support to the Republican Party that has interest, not only for this country, but for us as citizens of this state and this city. And most of all, a wide cross-section of the United States of America. I want to tell some folks in this audience here today, it wasn't for a Republican government under President Trump, there would never be a PPP government in Guyana. There will never be democracy in the true sense. Yeah, I want to tell you guys, President Trump was very instrumental, and he orchestrated that his representative takes measures to restore peace and fair and democracy election in Guyana. So now the media pointing fingers and, well, they say fake news. I support that line, fake news. Please remember to vote Republican. If it wasn't for President Trump again, there will never be a PPP government in Guyana. And democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, 2024 will be the big day. It's called Judgment Day, where Republican will take this United States back in full control. Any folks would like to say something here, please come free. On this ballot, on this information here, this is reflecting that way you should say no on the ballot pertaining to these conditions. When you go to the polling station, I think you'll be having something of this nature. Vote, say no to all these changes. You have a race theory. Pardon me? Please come forward, face the crowd and ask the question. Come from this way.
You want me to hold your camera? Yeah.
My question to you, sir, is this result of the campaigning today. Is the Attorney General, Alita James, is she stepping out of her contest? Is she abusing her office to saying that Guyana government is a racist government, that the Guyana government don't treat the black people properly well? I would like to know why she go on public record on a big stage in Brooklyn saying that the Guyana government is a racist government. Can any one of you guys knows about Guyana government? Can you talk about Guyana government and let the people here know what this government is doing for the Afro-Guyanese in Guyana presently now and what they were doing before 2015? Someone, can you please answer these questions?
Well, the problem with what Letitia James did is there was someone who is threatened not only political violence and been involved in political violence in Guyana and has multiple warrants for his arrest, including for terrorism, racial hatred, and much more. He's trying to incite and threaten people here in this community, saying that individuals should try to disrupt businesses and homes. And people here should not be threatened with political violence, especially political violence from an individual who's unwanted in another country. What I would say, what's going on here is this is just a pattern of Letitia James being pro-criminal. She has a soft spot in her heart for criminals. She is a pro-criminal, anti-police activist. This is an individual in 2018 who campaigned on cashless bail. She got what she wanted, and it failed. And she could say that people say inaccurate things. We saw the video of your debate in 2018. You said, I've been fighting for cashless bail basically your whole political career. She got her start in politics in the Working Families Party. She was too far left when she ran for the city council for
Yep. You hear the confusion powder there? Them boys go Republican. Them boys become Republican. It's the same fella we see the night before at Lefferts Boulevard subway. It's not the same fella. Huh? Yeah. All this time in his says is one fancy game. Huh? You know the difference there, you know. Folks, if you haven't gone out to vote yet, if you haven't voted early, this fella here, Michael Henry, he know one thing what going on. He know he doesn't even know who the president is. But he finds some people that he could railroad. Right? Find some people, you know, and you know, my brothers there are so misguided. He want Michael Henry to tell the people what them boys did before 2025. He put the Michael on the spot now. Say exactly what he does not know. What he does not know. But you know, I want to say hats off to them for the big crowd they pulled there. And he stand up by the subway with the loud hailer whole night. Then he walk back over to that spot there. You know, so many people showed up. So many. Then Rickford Burke meeting had about 4,000 persons 2 weekends ago. Then Rickford Burke's meeting there in New York had about 3,000 to 4,000 Guyanese. Huh? You see, there's a difference in leaders and these quacks, you know. These charlatans, these Hittites, Hippocytes, these Jebusites, and Nakavakamites. There's a difference, you know. There's a difference. Right? They better Deponites. They better Deponites. There's a difference. If you haven't voted yet, folks there in New York and wherever else, you got Democrats on the ballot, folks, why does you frighten Democratic leadership? But rather an erratic fella who loves criminals like Trump. How many of Trump friends indicted and gets to the state right now? And these hypocrites could talk about who like goes up to criminals. Michael Henry, look, don't come around with funny, Michael. Don't come around with funny, Michael Henry. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know that meeting lashed them hard. In the chest. That one lashed them hard. They're still trying to recover. Still trying to recover from that meeting. Still trying to recover. Still trying to recover. If you're the grog in Guyana, you know this racist cabal. You understand them. What a crossing government. What a crossing regime. You're out on the road, you better stay inside. You aren't safe by road nor water. You hear they out and about, stay inside. Whole crossing regime. That's not when you're going to install votes, you know. When you go and install votes, that's the result. That is the result. When you go on install votes, that's the result. Now, lest we forget, I want to remind you folks that leader of the opposition, leader of the PNCR, Mr. Robert C. Dorton, had an outreach just over the weekend. Oh, it got them the bastard. It got them basidi, like the iron. It got them Bazini. It got them Bazini, folks. We want to take a part of Mr. North's presentation from that meeting over the last weekend. We want to take a part of his presentation. Take a look, folks, and take a listen.
When you know how we and them never walk this out. Hey, when you know how we and them never walk it out. But someone will laugh at them. For the innocent blood that they shed every day. Oh, children.
Good evening, Mocha. Good evening. My friends, one of the first things I want you to recognize is that we didn't fetch and bring anybody here. Everybody here is from Mocha. That is important. Now, we are operating in serious times. When Irfan Ali comes to say he likes the people of Mocha, there are some things we should explain. First, the ancestral lands at the back belong to the people of Mocha. When you send your housing minister, to tell them you want 2,500 feet from the road, and so they have to move, that is not one Guyana, that is being wicked. Now, and let's assume they were guided by common sense. How do you explain coming all the way from South Rheinveld, right into Mocha? You allow businesses and people to be on the road right there. You don't ask for 50 feet. You don't ask for 10 feet. You put them there. But when it comes to the road passing an African Guyanese village, you want 2,500 feet. Tell them it will not happen. These are our people's ancestral lands, and it must go to the people of Mocha. And when the idiot comes to tell you you are squatting, tell him you don't squat on your own property. You cannot squat on what is your own. It is your land, and therefore you must occupy it. And if anybody is to be invited, you must determine who will be invited, and it is not the wicked PPP government. The only role they must play is as government. They should put electricity, water, drainage, and irrigation so that they can facilitate economic activity, including agriculture. That is their role. But you know, they're covetous. They just believe that only the rich people around them must benefit. And I'm glad the Minister of Home Affairs sent the cameras. Record. But I want those that see who murder who, those are the cameras that should be working. In this country, when a murder occurs and it's ordinary poor people, everything working. Soon as the big boys, it stop work. Typical Jack Dale Sue approach. And so, we repeat it without fear of successful contradiction. This government discriminates. They don't like when Rickford Burke said it. You know why? Because they're afraid of the truth. They went to West Coast Bobis. And at El Dorado, which is a predominant African Guyanese community, they deliver a cow. And then they go in the next door village that is a PPP stronghold and deliver millions. And they said, like the people in El Dorado. Open your eyes. You will see that they are given a little here and a little there, but they are carrying away the hog of the money. We are not a people for crumbs. We want to be a great stakeholder. This nonsense must cut out. And y'all in Mockin know. I heard a flying a little bird named Wren. What's the name of the bird? Well, I know, but this little bird, as I understand it, went into business, ended up in trouble, and needed the help of the PPP, so she decided she can sell out Mocco for she own good. It will not happen. It must not happen. Let the run fly away and go to Freedom House. We will ensure that Mocha continues to be the stronghold of the People's National Congress, Reform, and the Coalition. If they wanted to send a cow to El Dorado, they could have sent Jack Deal. They could have sent him. He would have been an appropriate piece of meat to be sent. My friends, let us begin to think. We live in a country in which the government says every time, oh, there is growth. They're not saying growth for who? There is no growth for the people of this country. The people of this country are living in poverty. And we have to end poverty. And to end poverty, we have to get rid of the People's Progressive Party. They are incompetent. Jabde, who is supposed to be economist, he was supposed to be an economist. He tells this country that they can't do nothing more to deal with the cost of living. They want more money to thief. It's a kleptocracy. Any child will know that there are many things that they can do to ensure our people get a better life. They can carry up the income tax threshold to 150,000 and raise the minimum, the people's salary to 150,000, and that will impact people. And the men are so barefaced. When they give a worker 3% or 3.5%, 7%, on the worker's salary, they end up getting about $3,000. When they give that same money to the president and the vice sue, they would end up getting $900,000 per month. That is the disparity. That is the level of thievery that is going on in this country. And then they run into places like Moko and trying to give people 20,000, 10,000 and a hamper. Open your eyes. This is a government that discriminates against people. They discriminate against Afro-Guyanese. And if you happen to be indigenous and Indo-Guyanese and you're a supporter of the APNU-AFC, they discriminate against you as well. Don't tell us nonsense about one Guyana. What you have in Guyana is a few crooks, a short one say in finance. I saw Barrett Jackdale having the temerity and audacity to describe Rickford Burke as a con man and a crook. Rickford, don't worry. We said nothing to you. He talk about Barrett Jackdale. So he is the crook. But the man is so barefaced. We would know that the world knows that he's corrupt. He would know that the world knows that he's a bandit. But he sits with a straight face and describes others in such a way. That is the kind of mind we are dealing with. And so I want you people to understand they have this thing of going on as if he is something of consequence. Well, let me remind people, he has not one successful project in his life as president. This is a man who should be blamed, for the state sugar workers are in. Let us recall, the EU gave to him 32 billion Guyana dollars between 2007 and 2013 to ensure it goes into the sugar industry to diversify and ensure work was found for sugar workers. Ask if we do it. What ain't thief? He put on a dead called Skeldon Sugar Factory. The man is a failure. He told us he is going to do a fiber optic cable for billions, and then we can get connectivity all in the interior. Well, it's some part of his interior, because we are seeing it. That was another failed project. He told us, oh, there's going to be this beautiful packaging factory at Enmore, Betogan. The man is a complete failure. But you know, he has this way, you know the story where they say, the little child tells you, Mommy, you tell he, she better be fit before she tell you what you want. The man knows he's a confounded hypocrite. The man knows he's incompetent. The man knows he is corrupt. So he blames everybody before it gets to him. Well, Sue did him a favor. I think he hates the name Sue. And you know,
Confounded hypocrite. Thank you, Mr. Norton. Robert C. Norton, leader of the People's National Congress Reform, leader of the opposition. Confounded hypocrite. Jack Dio. Failed project after failed project. Lest you forget, Skeldon Factory, fiber optic cable, you name it. A Mile of Falls, you name it. Failed project after failed project. One laptop per family, you name it. Failed project after failed project. Charlie Jagan International Airport started about 20 years ago. Still trying to work my way out of the one. Failed project after failed project. Confounded hypocrite. Confounded hypocrite. Folks, that's going to do it for us for today's program. Lest we forget who them boys is. Lest we forget who to be, folks. Lest we forget. We want to encourage you folks to partner with us so we can keep on keeping on, folks. Doing what we got to do out here. Doing what we got to do. Lest we forget, we don't run out of water. It's our anniversary month, believe it or not, guys, and we're available via Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, MMG. That's the local Cash App, folks. MoneyGram and Western Union, 627-6963. Every cent you all send, don't mind me, regretfully, but it goes towards building these programs, guys, perpetuating them, keeping us out there. Valid, credible information. Valid, credible information. And quite soon we bring in more information on our pages for you folks. More information in one place. Just for you guys. Just for you folks. Yep, thanks for joining us. That's going to do it for things at our end, good folks. That's going to do it for things at our end. Stay safe. We're going to see you guys right back here this evening at 8, folks. Right back here this evening at 8. Take it easy out there. Continue to enjoy lunch if you haven't done so. As yet, stay safe. You hear them boys visiting any place. Oh, stay inside. You ain't safe on the water with them. You ain't safe on the road with them. Stay safe, folks. Share the live. Smash that emoji button for us. We're in a bad way. We're in a bad way. Coalition coming back, folks. The coalition shall return. Shall return. See you guys right back here this evening at 8. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.